One of the aims of this channel, and one of the reasons why I started this channel, is to break through prevailing narratives about marginalized groups. Because the vast majority of reasons why they are cemented in our mainstream news and politicians is because they serve a function for the ruling class to really take away power from the working class, from the grassroots self-interest of the working class, and to point the finger at a particular scapegoat. This is a time-honored tradition of the ruling class. They did it with Jewish people, with the Edict of Expulsion. If you haven't heard about it, please look it up. 1290, there was an expulsion of Jewish people, just by mere virtue of the fact that they were a convenient scapegoat by which they could just really cast all blame. Now, this channel will always be pro-Palestinian human rights, pro-Muslim human rights. This should be going without saying, but we are all human beings. We all deserve dignity. We all deserve freedom. We all deserve justice. And I'm here in this video going to explain to you why Islamophobia is racism. Now, I say this with confidence and certainty because I was one of those people back in the days when I was an atheist, agnostic, when I did think that Islamophobia wasn't really racism. How could it be? Islam is a religion. Problem is, however, when you look at the context in which people become Muslims, vast majority are born into it. Vast majority of 2 billion people on this planet are born into it. So you cannot judge people simply born into a religion. You have to judge them by their actions. And this is exactly why you have a certain Islamophobic attitude that is weaponized when it comes to talk about Palestinians, when it talks, when you talk about Iranians. But the ruling class will rarely use that against the Saudis and people of, the Emirates, because of course they are allies. These are weapons of stereotyping of large groups of people in order to justify wars against them, justify ethnic cleansing, and the worst crime of all, genocide. Now, when I pose a question to you, what ethnic group, what group do you think of when I say the word grooming gang? Now, unfortunately, it's been something that is almost pounded into us by the right wing, by even the mainstream news, of Muslims, Rockdale grooming gang. But we very conveniently forget the controversy. No, not controversy. Controversy is merely, doesn't do it justice. The travesty, the human tragedy of between 240,000 to 300,000 children who have been essayed by the Catholic Church between 1950 and 2020. Now that dwarfs any grooming by any an essay of any group, but we don't think about it because there's a racialized element to the blaming of Muslims. Even though Muslims contribute only they're only 2 million, and you're going to stereotype 2 million, all of these people, based on the actions of few, it's ridiculous. And the use of religion has been used to justify slavery. In Christianity, 12.5 million Africans have been enslaved in Americas. And let's not forget that that Hitler himself, he said that Christianity is our religion. It's the religion of our movement. So when you put all this together, you have to judge people by their actions rather than the religions and the stereotypes associated with that religion. It just makes no sense. Just empirically, the data does not hold true. And this is why Islamophobia, singling out Islam for these political purposes, when Islam relatively speaking, is quite literally one of the more peaceful religions out there. Now, obviously, terrorism, what happened in 9/11, that has been weaponized to such a degree. But when you look at the context, who was it that was the first terrorist attack ever in Middle East? It wasn't done by Muslims. It was on a King David hotel by Jew supremacist terrorists. So, it's the perceptions have been weaponized to justify a political hegemony, the power structures at play. And if you can break through that prevailing narrative, you can see the truth as it is. Muslims are not the problem. It's the ruling class and weaponization of stereotypes to justify attacks on oppressed people. This was used on Jewish people. This is what's currently being used on people who are Muslim. And the race riots, who done by the most buffoonery of, the most supreme examples of buffoons. I mean, they first of all rioted on wrong information. Secondly, they like to believe that they act on behalf of Britons when only 8% say that they agree and they identify with the rioters. These are people with delusions of grandeur, low cognitive power, right? High energy, low cognitive functioning. These are not engineers. These are not doctors. Not to say that you're not intelligent if you're neither of those, but they're not fully realize their cerebral capacity. And the system isn't in favor of these guys. I mean, there was a man who literally punched a policeman. He got less than 2 years in prison, right? A man who burnt a police car, he got something like 2 years in prison. Whereas the Just Stop Oil protesters, they've gotten northwards of 4-5 years in prison. So the system is very much, holding hands with these protesters. Anyways, we've got a lot of work to do. Future's going to be very busy. We're going to see the ruling class still support Israel, despite the fact that there is no return on investment. This is a boulder that's going down a hill towards the doom of regional instability in the Middle East. We're seeing Israel pitting up against Iran, which will also cause other kind of downstream domino effects, such as nuclear escalation. Possibly, hopefully not, but let's see what happens. All I can do is dispel the ignorance, talk about justice, and why the issue of Palestine, the issue of Islamophobia, is not splitting the left. It's defining the left. It's defining what it means to be progressive. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.